Oh, bonjour, Arsenal friends. I'm here to talk about what we just witnessed, and I think we saw it very clear that everything that we were doing did not really offer what we were looking for. We tried. The better team lost today, according to Mikel Arteta. The better team lost. Like it did not just come in front, disappear in the game, do not show anything. The better team lost, according to Sir Monsieur Mikel Arteta. And what did you have to show for it? Don't waste my time. Just click the like button, subscribe to Connect. Let's talk about this game because we need to talk. So hello guys, let's talk about this game really because there's some interesting things that I'm going to be really covering because this was an interesting game when you look at it from the eyes of an Arsenal fan, when you look at it from the eyes of somebody who's really putting the hopes of the whole entire season into one match, the whole entire season into one match, and maybe, just maybe, because of so much pressure this game was carrying, it just became difficult when PSG were just being resistant to every threat that Arsenal were throwing. But also when you look at it on the other side, you might say that PSG had a plan, did give Arsenal the chance in the first half to see what they can do. Then they just scored to hurt them, and that just demoralized the team, and they just could not come back from that. So there's a lot of things to look at it, but I think we need to really visit to the whole entire season as a whole, everything that happened, how everything has been built up to come to this point. Because I think there is stages and steps that has to be taken for us to be where we were to where we are now. Because this Arsenal team has really been going through some changes, some crazy periods, especially this season. And as much as I never thought I would be saying this now, but as much as we try to ignore some of the things that has happened, they have made it look like this was the most important thing that they've ever done. They made us believe after Real Madrid that they were gonna do this, and we just fell into the trap and we followed. But here we are now. Here we are now. We have to look at everything that Arsenal have done and exactly where they are going, what they are going to achieve, and what they're working on. So it's gonna be interesting to see what you guys are gonna say in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Connect. Let me know where you're watching us from because I'm always curious to know where all of you are watching us from. It's always important. So, first of all, this is an interesting comment that came from Mikel Arteta. He said, 100%, I don't think there's a better team than us, talking us now, in this competition from what I've seen, but we are out. This competition is about the boxes and and in those boxes and the strikers, the goalkeepers and there was the best on both games. Okay, theirs was the best on both games. So what Mikel Arteta is telling us right now is telling us that he was the best. His team was the best team in this competition. The only difference was this: the goalkeeper of PSG was the better on both games. That's the reason why Arsenal did not make it to the second round. But I worry for a manager who analyzes situations like that because I just want to take us a few weeks back when Arne Slot was knocked out by PSG. He talked about that sometimes you just have to appreciate when you have met your match, a team that can really perform well. And one thing that he said, which was really interesting, he said that this was one of the best games he has ever been part of as a player and as a manager, and he's just happy to really just accept that he came into this game and he came out losing, but he enjoyed it because this was one of the best games he has ever watched. The purpose he was saying that, of course, he was looking at the fact that PSG had won the game. I think they won on penalties. They only scored one. We scored one against them, but they really outclassed us tactically not really tactically, but maybe personnel wise in the game. And I felt like maybe that's the same thing that happened today. I think PSG were just good personnel in terms of both of all the positions in the game. Talking of defensive, midfield and strike force better than Arsenal. Arsenal were good defensively, yes. Everyone knows that Arsenal are always very good defensively. But what made this PSG team so interesting was they were able to compete with Arsenal defensively and they came out on top. And that's really important. They were able to compete whenever the strike force of Arsenal were trying to do something. They just couldn't. They did this at the Etihad, at the Emirates, and they came to Ale, and I think the only goal that went in was when Marquinhos fell down far away from the 18. That's the only goal that came in. They scored two goals to their PSG, and they scored one goal at this one, which means they've literally scored the three goals against Arsenal, and Arsenal were only able to respond with the one goal when the pressure was really off because of the fact that it was now really coming clear and clear that the team that was winning is PSG. And I think if you look at how the game was going in, and it felt like PSG really started to drop their performance in what they're doing. And it was really clear because the way the game was approached by PSG today, they didn't want to be more hands on the way they were like at the Emirates in the beginning of the game. I think they were willing to concede the position to Arsenal, concede some of the position to Arsenal just to stop them from doing anything. And I think they saw the danger of that earlier in the game after that Martin Odegaard shot, which was saved, by the way, by the goalkeeper of PSG, Donnarumma. And I think they really tried to change their approach of the game. And from then, it was more of them hitting Arsenal on the counter, and Arsenal could not copy with them. Most of the times, I think I had to see Declan Rice running back to come and help out the team. And that makes it even more interesting because I think if I remember, the excuse which was given last week by Arsenal fans was that the reason why PSG won is because Arsenal did not have Thomas Partey. Today he was in the game. I think I did not see Thomas Partey in today's game. And I think also the thing that I saw today in the game was this. Martin Lewis Kelly, Mouse Lewis Kelly has always been one of the best players for Arsenal this season. He has really come of age, and he has shown in some of the moments how much important he is for the team. And I felt like watching that game today, I think he had one of the craziest games. He really struggled. The strike force of PSG caused chaos. He just could not help himself to do anything meaningful in that game. And that tells you the difference between the two teams. And that's in my point of view. Between the two teams, you can see how the other team is performing differently from the other one and how much that is helping the other team to be at a certain level. The defensive midfield of PSG today was even more interesting because they were not only trying to control the ball, but they were making sure that defensively they're there to help the defense. And for going forward, they were making sure that they were setting the right balls to help the strikers to actually take advantage of the opportunities which were created. And now listening to what Mikel Arteta is saying, that he believes his team has been the best in this whole entire competition, that now scares me because I think we've noticed that there are so many gaps and we worry about how Arsenal are performing and how they only found maybe they're finding joy watching their set piece coach on the touchline telling people what to do rather than to focus on what made them great in the beginning, what put them at the position which they are, which was just good football passes and moving. I think they only focus on defensive this season and forget what they were supposed to do in the game. In today's game, however you're going to look at the game, you actually appreciate how good this Arsenal team has come off and how much they've really developed to be where they are now, but they're just not yet there. And you can see this Paris team, which if we are to compare the two teams, Arsenal team have been together for such a long time from this Paris team. And I'm telling you, this is their first time together in this PSG team really together. And we saw in the beginning of the season that they struggled, but we saw how they improved as the season continued. And now that has to worry you as a person because you wonder how would they be 2 years, 3 years as they continue to work together and actually develop. Because I'm sure PSG is not the team that just sells players for fun. I think they keep the players that they know they need in the team. And now that makes me one question where exactly they're going. And that's really interesting. And now, if you are to compare the two teams, like I'm saying, you would say that Arsenal are the team that has just started to rebuild this year by this manager, but that's not the case. And I think the problem falls to Mikel Arteta and maybe how Arsenal is like set up as a team. I'm looking at it because they have a manager who doesn't really accept whenever they're not performing well, and he always wants to be on the defensive, saying such things like, "The better team lost to today. We did well. It was because of the two games," rather than actually accept the reality that they were not really the best. They did not do enough to help out the team. And on a season wise, trying to blame on the injuries, trying to blame the referee rather than to look at themselves to see exactly where they need to improve. I feel like this whole entire season has always been built on that. And lastly, trying to be this, I think it made a name in the beginning of this one, trying to be that dark, using what they used to call dark tactics, trying to get away with it, just pushing players in the 18 area to get advantage to yourself. These are the small little things which has built up so much and has put us not to this position. And I just worry because I'm looking at them and I'm wondering exactly where do they go for me if they don't develop or actually improve from what they're supposed to be and what they can be as a team. Because this is a good football team, but I feel like maybe they just don't have enough. And rather than to look at where the problems are, they spend so much time trying to blame the officials, trying to do this. And sometimes it's funny that how their fan base actually help them to blame others rather than to look at within what they need to improve. What do they need? Because, for example, I can come out here and be clear with you and I say that in that strike force, Saka is alone. He needs some people who can help him to actually do something better in that day. Then I say in the midfield, Declan Rice, it feels sometimes that he's alone. Even though sometimes Thomas Partey does perform, but sometimes it feels like Declan Rice is alone. He needs some people at least close to his quality who can come in and help out the team. And in defense, we can say they are good, but sometimes they make so many mistakes, and those mistakes cost them so much. So, how do you build a better Arsenal? It's difficult to talk about that right now because the manager does not see the fault in the team. He says the fault is with others. And I just wonder what's going to happen as the season comes to an end, and what happens next season, because Patrick Evra once said a quote which so many Arsenal fans do not really like, where he said that watching Arsenal is like watching a Netflix documentary or series. They're always looking forward to next season, and it feels like now that's where they are. They're at that position which they're looking at next season, because one person can actually wonder, ask them and say exactly what is now left of Arsenal this season. What is left? And somebody like me will come out of nowhere and tell you that, oh, a guard of honor. That's the thing that is left. Where here they just cannot come to Enfield and see the champions without really appreciating them. So they need to give Liverpool a guard of honor because they are the champions and they have to respect their champions. And I just have to throw that in. But what I'm saying is this: what can we do? I think it's actually a moment for Mikel Arteta to start noticing and actually be serious and stop focusing on the officials. Focus on the team. What do you need to change on the team? How can you get better from where you are? You need a Victor Gokeres. Make sure you set up a platform to go get those kind of players, because you need to build your team to be better than the way it is. I don't know. I can talk for years, but there's a lot of things to talk about Arsenal. I'll do that when I'm doing some season reviews at the end of the season. But for now, Arsenal's season has just come to an end in the hands of PSG, and they are worried, where do they go next from here? Click the like button, subscribe to Connect. Let me know where you're watching us from and what you're expecting. Like the video, subscribe to the Connect. I'm out. Peace. Subscribe to the Connect and enjoy your time. Enjoy my friends and family and the rest.